This is when you have so many people who are the same, who have the same skill set. And if you are just basing your value in the marketplace on your skill set, that renders you replaceable. You want to be irreplaceable, especially during economic downturns.
Would you say that the construction industry, even there in Australia, is it already a cutthroat industry? How many people can still go in and play?
It's always been a very competitive industry because it is lucrative, but it is only reflective of the hours and responsibility that you actually have to take on. You don't earn 100K salary for a 9 to 5. It's, you are commensurate to the hours that you do put in. But it has always been competitive because, as I said, it is lucrative, but especially now because of COVID, this is the first time that many people in the industry are experiencing very rough seas, and people aren't prepared for rough seas. They've entered the industry when it's booming, when everything is great, when there is an abundance of opportunity, when they get headhunted. They have set out to sail and they're not properly equipped. They don't have a personal brand. They don't have a message. They don't have high income skills. They don't have discipline and high performance principles, for example. They don't actually add value to the marketplace in order to be able to control their income. And that is what a lot of people are experiencing right now, especially in Melbourne. We are experiencing a second lockdown. It's going to get very, very competitive. And for those that have no network, that have never bothered to stand out, have never bothered to build their social profiles, are absolutely struggling right now. And that's why when people say, do a program, invest in a mentor, you don't look for it when times are tough. You look for it when times are good. So when times are tough, you're recession proof. You are able to still be in the industry that you love when things get really, really tough. And you have to think that the professional marketplace, that's really diluted. You have non-professionals, and then you have professionals, and then you have experts. There's less and less people as you move up the chain, but this section of professionals, this is where it is most diluted. This is when you have so many people who are the same, who have the same skill set. And if you are just basing your value in the marketplace on your skill set, that renders you replaceable. You want to be irreplaceable, especially during economic downturns. And that's what people aren't working towards because you're comfortable. Here on a 100K salary, you can have a car, you can live within 7K of the CBD of the Central Business District. You can go out to brunch on weekends, and you can go on holidays. People are comfortable. When people are comfortable, they're not hungry. They're not hunting. Now it's hunting season, and it is really cutthroat. And it is even more difficult for international students and students at the moment as well, because that market has always been diluted. Universities just pump out students, pump out talent, but there isn't actually enough demand, especially now in the industry, to accommodate it. So it is a very difficult time for entry-level roles as well.
That is so true. And so you mentioned earlier that people struggling, and you also mentioned in the early parts of our interview about mindset before skill set. Now, I want to combine those two things and ask you a question about how many people actually struggle with the mindset part when they approach you, and what do you do to help them overcome that?
Think about it this way: 95% of the people in the world aren't conscious, so they don't know that they think. 3% of people in the world actually think that they think, but only 2% of people in the world know that they think and then use that thinking to generate the results that they wish to see in their life. So these are the successful people. and successful across all arenas in their life, not just success in one arena in the compromise of another. Let's not get into the definition of success. It's a podcast within itself. People, when I'm in conversation with people, I see so much head trash, so much limitation to their worldview. I see people living in fear. I see people having no self-belief, no backbone, no future outlook, no vision, none of that. And if you don't want to do anything about it, that's on you. But if people do want to fix that mindset piece, because again, you can't give someone the best tools when their operating system is still a Windows 95 and you want to install apps on it. Like it doesn't work. And that's where they falter. That's where they keep on not getting the pay rises. They don't ever start the business that they want. They don't go for the opportunities, so on and so forth, because there is so much head trash that is actually holding themselves back. So every program that I do, there are particular sessions purely based on mindset construction, on your internal construction. But it is a conversation that doesn't stop, because it takes time to actually change your worldview, to change your emotional disposition, to upgrade your belief system. It definitely takes time. And that's why I work with clients over, periods of months, if not a year, because change takes time. And right now, I think back to the thinking that I had over a year ago. And I did that through reading my own journal entries from once upon a time, but also the outputs that I had in my life once upon a time. And that is a reflection of the thinking I had. I wasn't thinking. So, thinking is the most powerful tool that we are given, and having the ability to shape that as a mentor is an absolute privilege and an honor bestowed that isn't taken lightly. But you do that through conversation. You do that through being the example yourself. You can't tell someone, go invest in yourself, if you don't do it yourself. You can't tell someone, put yourself out there, if you don't do it yourself. You can never tell someone to do something that you won't do yourself. And this is where I see so many hypocrites as well. Coaches that want people to invest in a $5,000 program, but they won't do it for themselves because they think they have mastery. It really doesn't work like that. So the mindset is very, very important. And as a thought leader, this is why I put out content every single day, because it is my duty to get my community to think. I need you to think differently, because when you start thinking differently, your actions change, your behaviors change, and the results that you want in your life, they change.
You have shared how you are able to change people through time, and how you're able to influence the mindset through conversation, and that is just really a gem right there. And you also mentioned that a lot of people, the construction industry, especially being a competitive industry, is struggling through this pandemic that we have right now, and it is getting more competitive. I do agree with you on that one. Now, to wrap things up, if you can give one big advice to struggling entrepreneurs, which, this podcast have a lot of struggling entrepreneurs listening in, or people who are professionals that are also struggling in their career, might have gotten laid off even, what would your one big advice be to these people?
To give one piece of advice relevant to all is to remain future focused. And I live in the future. I am grounded in the present, but I am in the future. And the future has always been yours to create. The future has always been uncertain. No one ever said at age 30, this is exactly what will happen. And at 35, this will happen. You're aiming for it, but it's always been uncertain. So you have to be able to be comfortable with uncertainty, yet always having this strong belief that the future that you always desired is still attainable. No one's taken that away from you right now. What we are experiencing right now, it may be one of the greatest challenges that people have in their careers. We are yet to really see that. We're really haven't lived out the full economic impact of all these shutdowns and COVID and everything. Time will tell. So have focus on the future and then look at, okay, what do I actually need to do today to get there? Because a plan, what's that quote? A dream without a plan is just a wish. It's like that. People do not take enough immediate and massive action in the present to get the future that they want. So 2 pieces of advice is to remain future focused and take immediate and massive action in the present to actually make that happen.
I'm going to tee you up a little bit from that answer. So, this is the struggle of a lot of people. Not a lot of people are visionaries or future focused like yourself. And maybe some of them are wondering, hey, Elinor, maybe you mentioned future focused, but things are just so hazy right now and blurry. I couldn't see past through. How do you do it? How do you lift that haze and finally be able to see, oh, this is what the future could look like with a good percent of certainty? And so this is the massive action I would be taking for today, this week, or this month. But other people can do that. So how do you propose for them to be able to achieve that?
What do you do? I will answer the question, but I am curious. What do you do?
Quite difficult, actually, that question. My wife usually tells me that I am a visionary. And if you've ever taken Gallup Strengths Finder, it's one of my top strengths as well, to be futuristic. I look at the markets. That tells me a lot. Market volatility, where is the money going? In my industry, which is the digital marketing industry and the SEO industry, like yourself, I have been able to build my name and my brand as a thought leader. And in my circle of influence, at least, whenever they would need SEO help, I'm the first one that they would ask. Maybe not deal with, but just ask, like, how do we do this? What's your advice? It is not difficult for me now where I am to see the future, and that's because I have been given so much exposure. I have kind of trained myself to see through the haze for a very long time. But I'm not sure if this answer would help like a lot of people who are just starting out and couldn't see through the haze. But I would say, like, maybe, taking something from John Maxwell's book, sharpen the axe, go to that tree, hit it every day. That is how you are able to see clearer through the haze.
That's the long answer to the question, but I definitely agree. It takes time, and again, I'm a visionary, and there are only very few people in the world are actual visionaries, and the world needs visionaries and thought leaders to save the world from itself. But that has taken time. That clarity of knowing what it looks like, for me, that came via journaling, and that took time. It's not like I sat down, one entry, boom, I got it. No, it was nearly 19 months of introspections and shaking up my reality. But again, that doesn't help people. So what I would recommend is a gratitude practice. So focus on everything that you do have, because a daily gratitude practice is so powerful, and you do that for 30 days, even 10 days, your whole outlook changes. You're able to get through that uncertainty and looking at what you don't have and living in their fear. It grounds you, because you really do have a lot. I mean, we are alive and we are breathing. We are humans. We can create anything that we want. That is something to be grateful for at a minimum. I mean, we get to have a human experience. We're not having a dog experience. It's a human experience. And what I would also recommend is, this is how I started my journey, was to go full immersion into the books, the podcasts of the type of people who inspired me. So Richard Branson was the first entrepreneur that I discovered, and his world blew my mind, because I'm sure you know Branson's story. He started off from nothing, and he is one of the few people, if not the only, to build $8 billion companies in 8 different industries.
Yeah.
Or something ridiculous like that. So, Oprah, look at the Oprahs of the world. I mean, look at the people who inspire you and study their success. And what you'll see is they have mostly started off with nothing. They have been through the most turbulent times and biggest challenges. And what you will see is, look, you overcome it. You overcome it when you become the person. During times like this, you focus on what you can control. You feed your brain with positive content, the books, the podcasts, the conversations, the right content on social media. You ground yourself with a gratitude practice, and your mental resilience, your mental muscles are going to get stronger.
And thank you for giving me time in my own podcast by asking me that question. But yeah, amazing answer. Gratitude. I wouldn't have thought of that, but that is an amazing answer, especially today, through the pandemic. I think that practice of listing down, I don't know, 5, maybe 10 things that you're thankful for every day.
20 things. I mean, it's the air you breathe, it's the bed that you get to wake up with, it's the roof over your head, it's the people around you.
Yeah.
It's endless.
Elinor, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to keep you, and I want to ask you, if people are interested in knowing more about you, reading more of your stuff, listening to your podcasts, where else can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. I am at Elinor Moshe_, and also on LinkedIn. Connect with me, Elinor Moshe. You can go to my website, elinormoshe.com, which also has more about my book, my podcast, and my mentoring.
Fantastic. And we will have the link in the show notes. You guys just have to go to leadershipstack.com. You'll find the show notes there. That saves you time from typing all of that in Google. Well, Elinor, thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure that me and my listeners are better for it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Sean. I really enjoyed it.